Good afternoon, welcome back to Sonic Generations PC. We are now in a new stage, City Escape from Sonic Adventure 2. First starting off with the classic missions, and then we'll go get the red rings. The red rings in City Escape, they're not particularly difficult, but as you'll see later on, the red rings can be a little bit more than pixel perfect to collect. They can be a bit difficult in how easy they are to miss, so definitely keep an eye out when we're going to do that. We actually need to collect all 5 in this episode, as opposed to the others where we only need to collect 3 or 2 sometimes. But first we have the Doppelganger race. Sonic Adventure 2 is a game that is debated a lot by fans. Some fans think it's the greatest game ever made, some fans think it's highly overrated. It's very polarizing in many ways. I have a lot of experience with Sonic Adventure 2. It was one of the earliest games I played. I didn't really start playing video games until I was a little bit older, but I remember back in the 4th grade, everyone was talking about Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube, and I would always get pretty excited when I got to go to a friend's house who had a copy of Sonic Adventure 2, and we'd play it for hours and hours and hours. That and Sonic Adventure DX, you know, Sonic Adventure 2 is one of those games where it can seem like it's a little bit too different from what we originally thought Sonic the Hedgehog to be, unlike a series like Mario, which has basically given us flashier versions of the same game over and over with the same themes. Sonic Adventure 2 was definitely one game which decided to take a more story-based structure and perhaps even a more serious tone, and gave us a variety of gameplay options. So, in a lot of ways, you know, it was impressive how much Sonic Adventure 2 did. Whether you enjoyed playing it or not, it was an impressive game at the time. And even now, Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Adventure DX are both on Steam right now, actually, and they're not very expensive on Steam, and Sonic Adventure 2 at least, I'm not sure about DX, but Sonic Adventure 2 has actually been sort of polished, remastered in widescreen, so it looks pretty nice in HD, so definitely worth checking out if you haven't tried Sonic Adventure 2 as of yet. So in this side mission we are going to be using a skateboard for most of the level. I think it's possible to keep the same skateboard that you get at the beginning of the level for the entirety of the level, but it's a little bit difficult to do. If you essentially lose your momentum or hit certain obstacles, you will fly off the skateboard and you'll have to collect another one. If you lose the skateboard, it's not going to make the level impossible to complete. It'll just have you take probably a more roundabout way of completing the level. It'll be a little bit harder to get your S rank if you don't have your skateboard. So, but overall, pretty straightforward level. And once you complete that level, you can go get the skateboard skill from the skill shop, which allows you to summon the skateboard once during the level, which is pretty fun to do. So now we have one of the more rewarding side missions. This is the Thunder Shield side mission, and the Thunder Shield is one of the most powerful skills you can get in the game because it gives Sonic a proper double jump, and it also attracts rings to Sonic. And on top of both those things, it acts as a shield, which will allow you to take one hit without losing any of your rings. So it is definitely one of the most powerful power-ups Sonic has ever had. The double jump attribute of the Thunder Shield originally debuted in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and as I believe I mentioned in an earlier part when we had the Aqua Shield side mission, is that in Sonic Adventure 3, Sonic was the only one that had double jump abilities when it came to the elemental shields. So it was a pretty big perk when you found a Thunder Shield in Sonic Adventure, or Sonic 3, because it would allow you to traverse areas that would otherwise be either difficult or even impossible for Sonic to get to on his own. So when you are going through maybe collecting red rings or trying to get your best time, Thunder Shield is definitely a great skill to add to your Sonic skill set. Probably more so than others. Now, the Fire Elemental Shield would definitely help in these fire pillars we need to jump over in this level, since it would give you protection in that, but overall, the Thunder Shield is undoubtedly the most powerful shield in the game. Not all the games give Sonic that double jump ability when he has a Thunder Shield. It's actually one of the few shields that made a return in later games, but they were more ring magnet is what they called it. They called them ring magnets, and they would just give you the extra hit and attract the rings to you. It wouldn't give you the double jump. Still a powerful item to collect in the game, but definitely at its best in this game and Sonic 3. So now we have a side mission with Rouge the Bat. She made her debut in Sonic Adventure 2 and gave a lot of people weird feelings about furries. And in this mission she's going to be dropping bombs that we need to avoid and then get to the end of the level before time is up. Another thing that's a gimmick in this level is the seesaws, which originally debuted in Sonic 2 on the Sega Genesis, where when you jump on the seesaw, the spike ball will go high into the air and land on the other side of the seesaw. So if you get on the proper side of the seesaw before the ball comes back down, then you will get a boost of height, like an extra high jump. Rouge the Bat is actually on the dark side of the Sonic Adventure 2 storyline. Sonic Adventure 2 had essentially two storylines where on one side you would play as Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and that was called the hero side, and then on the dark side you would be playing as Shadow, Dr. Eggman, and Rouge the Bat. And each one of those characters shared a gameplay style with their hero counterpart. Sonic and Shadow would have high-speed, linear-based platforming missions, and Tails and Eggman would walk around in their mech walkers and have a shoot-'em-up type level, and Rouge and Knuckles would have treasure hunting missions. Both of them are master treasure hunters, and part of what makes Rouge such a great treasure hunter is that she is actually employed by the CIA. No joke. She was a spy the whole time you were playing as her alongside Eggman and Shadow. She was really just collecting information for the government on the two villains, which was a fun aspect of the story, actually. When you saw the story from the dark side perspective, you noticed that each one of the characters were in it for their own purposes. They weren't truly working towards the same goal. So in this final side mission, it is all about springs. You know, springs have always been in Sonic. I can't think of a Sonic game that doesn't have jump springs, but essentially what they do is they just propel Sonic either forward or upwards, depending on the angle, at a fast speed, usually resulting in progress, but as you can see in this level, it can also lead Sonic into many different traps. A popular thing to throw into the level design in the earlier days of Sonic the Hedgehog is to put two springs facing each other to get Sonic caught in there, and he would have to jump out because he would be in this endless loop of getting sprung back and forth. And the red and yellow springs actually do have different attributes. The yellow springs typically will bounce you at a slower rate, and you'll travel a shorter distance, while the red ones will propel you a lot further. I remember in Sonic Colors, a lot of people were excited because they brought back the different attributes of the springs in that game, where the yellow ones would not bounce you as high. However, in that game it was a little bit different as it is. The physics were a lot more different, and the yellow springs would actually let you bounce on them multiple times, and you go a little bit higher each time. That's how that one would work. So now we need to collect our red rings. And the first one we will get is right up here. You just gotta take the upper route from the very start, and you'll eventually get on top of the roofs of those buildings there and collect that red ring. That one is a little bit easy to mess up. You need to take a very specific rail and make sure you don't fall off from that path while you're doing it, because you do need to stay on that path for a while in order to run into the red ring. And this part always threw me for a loop. It was always tricky to see which part of this platform you should jump, and if you don't have enough momentum, you'll keep falling into that spike. So you need to make sure you approach it with plenty of speed, or you can just spin dash up it, and you'll usually make it. It's not a sure thing, but you'll usually make it that way. The next one is right here, so just fall down. And I believe the top of the truck doesn't actually hurt you, so if the truck is still there, don't worry about it and just fall down, and you can get right back on the same path you would be on if you hadn't run into it, if you just jump on a couple enemies there. Now the next one, there's two coming up here really quick. The first one right here, take the boost rings, and then just make sure you hit each of these ramps on the skateboard, and you'll collect the second one on that route. And now we only have one more to go, and the last one is, you can run by it really easily, but it's actually not a very hard red ring to collect at all. It's just a matter of not getting hit by the truck. So you just need to keep going up the scaffolding. And then that is the final red ring of Classic City Escape. Pretty easy to do actually in one go, unlike other ones, but still, those red rings where you're on the skateboard, those are actually really easy to miss. Even if you do technically do it properly, you can miss by just a pixel. So I'll catch you all next time with the modern